I am a crow, which means I live at the intersection of wind and consequence. My feathers drink the daylight like ink. My feet memorize rooftops. My beak is a key that tries every lock. When the morning unwraps the city and the gutters yawn awake, I step into the same wide story I've been telling since I first fell out of a high, trembling nest. Find, learn, remember, return. That is a crow's creed, though we do not say it out loud. Our words are the routes we fly, and the small decisions we make with our heads tilted, listening for the shape of a good idea. I did not always know how to be clever. My first language was the creak of branches and the soft clicks my mother made when she tucked us deeper against the wind. My siblings and I were black commas in a messy sentence, shivering, weaving our hunger into a rope we tossed at our parents. The world smelled like bark and rain. Sometimes the nest dipped so hard that the sky looked like a dish filling with blue milk. My father brought beetles, bread, a pale ribbon of fish he'd stolen from a heron, and the tips of his feathers were always warm from flying. When a hawk's shadow smeared across the leaves, my mother's body went heavy over us. A night laid gently on our backs. That was the first lesson. There is a shield, and it looks like love. The second lesson arrived the day I first climbed into the air and missed my footing. The branch said no. Gravity said yes. I fell through my own reflection and hit the ground lopsided, all knees and panic. The breath punched out of me like a coin dropped on stone. A woman in red shoes crouched beside me, hands hovering, face soft with the shape of worry. Humans think we do not see them the way they see themselves, but I noticed everything. Her hair like a fallen nest, the sweet odor of soap, the tiny half-moon scars on her knuckles. She whispered sounds I didn't understand, and then she backed away, letting my mother scold me back into the tree. That was the second lesson. Not every giant wants your bones. Some of them are gardeners of chance, some are storms. Learn to tell the difference. We are a people of memory. My uncles say that memory is just a second stomach. You keep things there until they're needed, then cough them back into the world. I keep faces like seeds. The boy who throws pebbles whenever we gather on the telephone wire has a face like an unfinished cliff. The old man who leaves peanuts on his porch has a face like a crumpled map that still gets you home. The two teenagers who brought bread one winter day and laughed at our suspicion tasted of something bright and unpracticed. We circled, we tested. Their names were announced in the way we folded our wings. Later, when they came back without bread, we still greeted them. You do not unlearn kindness. You store it and spend it during lean weather. Mean weather comes. Once, a hungry winter settled over the town like a slow lid. The river slowed to thinking. The bins were stingy. The wind learned to sing through our ribs. We survived the way we always do. We turned the city into a larder. My cousin pried open a bag of chips with the patience of a locksmith. A friend learned the schedule of the bakery's trash. I discovered that the crosswalks were machines that kneel for a red hand and then roar to a green man. I learned that if I dropped a hard-shelled nut at the right moment, the car would crush it for me, and the white lines on the road would cradle the bright meat so it did not scatter. I felt like a magician every time. Humans stared, pointed, lifted their devices. I looked back, tilted my head, and performed the trick with a professional's calm. People say we love shiny things. This is true and not true. Most of all, we love what reflects us. I collected a bottle cap once, the kind with a crown's teeth. It was blue and dented, and it felt like a small, obedient planet under my tongue. I hid it under a chimney, near a place where a loose tile clicked in the wind. Not long after, in the spring when nests are woven, and everything becomes a suggestion for cradle or wall, I brought the cap as a gift to the girl with black hair who had watched my road trick all winter. She was sitting on a stoop, knees up, phone in her hand, face drowned in the light from it. I dropped the cap next to her shoe. She looked up, first at the cap, and I saw her smile rearrange her face, like furniture moved into sunlight. She carried the cap inside. I still think about that exchange. How giving is a way to write your name on another creature's morning. I chose my partner during a summer that crackled like paper in a flame. She was not the prettiest. But when the wind hissed, she answered in low, practical notes, the kind of voice a nest listens to and calms. She could spot a hawk before its intention formed in the air. She understood the geometry of wires and the way heat blooms around grills in the park. And when we sat shoulder to shoulder, watching a storm bloat over the hill, she leaned into me in a way that said, "The sky is large, and so are we." We built our first nest in a pine that smelled like sleep. We wove it from the city, plastic lace from a bag, a length of old yarn, stiff grasses stolen from a median, twigs borrowed from shrubs, while a dog howled into his leash. We turned litter into crib. When the eggs came, 3 slick marbles under her belly, we learned the courage of staying. Every shadow looked like a thief. Every squirrel looked like a rumor with teeth. My throat learned a language of warnings and reassurances. In this way, fear taught me how to speak. Not everything survives. One egg did not. The summer that followed limped a little for us, even as we fed the 2 that hatched with all the fervor of the living. They were loud truths. They were mouths before they were anything. We brought them insects, bread, the soft corners of fruit, a strip of meat so delicate it felt like apologizing to the world. They grew into questions with wings. When they flew, badly at first, then sharply, we flew with them, not hovering, but close enough that the air between us felt like a conversation we were keeping alive. When they finally found their own roots and joined the neighborhood's evening parliament on the tallest antenna, we felt a huge, private quiet, a room inside us that went echoing but proud. I am a crow. I am the voice that argues with church bells and winds. I am the shadow that writes your sidewalk into a moving story. I am the negotiator between seasons, the black stitch in a quilt of weather. I have loved a blue bottle cap, and a practical, steady mate, and the idea that a city can be taught like a song. I have buried bread with reverence and eaten it later with laughter. I have stood in a crowd around our dead and felt the solemn accuracy of being alive. I have learned your face, and if you have been kind, I have taught it to others. When I left from this rail to join the evening's moving parliament, I carry all of this with me, shiny things that aren't things at all, just glints of meaning I refuse to drop. And tomorrow, when the light pours itself into the gutters again, I will stand on one leg, cock my head, and begin the work of being a crow once more.